All right, it's here, you guys. The first workshop I have planned for 2025 will be on January 20th and 21st. As you know, I don't do group coaching, I don't do one on one coaching, I don't do consultations. I do a handful of workshops a year, and this is where I deep dive, open my brain, and dump it in a way that gives you as much information as well as some practical insight so you can, tackle whatever the topic is. So, this class, it's my Fix Your Income workshop that is specifically geared for people who are already in the real estate industry, meaning title processors, real estate agents, appraisers, contractors, you name it. If you support or are part of the real estate industry, but if you have on your 2025 goals to start investing to do your first or next deal, this is the class for you. I am going to deep dive. What is a deal? Why should you invest in real estate? What is necessary to succeed in real estate investing? How do you find these deals? How do you fund them? Whether you have money today, whether you can qualify with a bank or not. I'm going to include things like sharing about creative financing and whatnot. And this class will be a 2-day deep dive. Lunch will be included both days, and a 100+ page manual will be included as well. This is going to be in the greater New Orleans area, in person only. Guys, tickets are $397 for folks who are in the real estate industry. Get your ticket today at CourtneyFricke.com. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Hey, welcome to the Strategic Success Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Fricke. Thanks for tuning in. Hey friends, welcome to another episode. Look, this is going to be the last episode for the Strategic Success Podcast for 2024. A little too much of a pause there. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. And if anything in 2025, you're going to see more of me. But look, speaking of 2025, today, in this episode, I really want to talk with you about the craziest thing I'm looking to do in 2025. So I think that this is it's actually something that came to me one day, actually not too many days ago, when I was thinking through my overall 2025 goals. So I usually start thinking about the next year in like end of October-ish, like, sometime around there, I start really kind of putting away some thoughts for the next year, like, hey, these are some directions I want to go, some intentions I want to have. And so this is not a new idea based off of those intentions and some of those thoughts that I have. By the way, if you're hearing crazy thoughts, crazy sounds, maybe thoughts too, that should be problematic. But if you're hearing crazy sounds, fireworks are going off. Hopefully, it's not too loud in the background. But nonetheless, um, overall, these were, again, they were kind of already tracking. And when I set goals for the next year, a lot of what I do is one, I review the first year. So I actually have a journal here. And what I had in this journal was I was reviewing 2024. So if you listen to the previous episode where I did a review of 24 and then kind of like a what am I focusing on 25, don't worry, this is going to be a little bit different than that. But ultimately, when it comes down to goal setting, reviewing the prior year is really important for me because another part of that is what I am doing is also assessing, you know, did I reach my goals? Do I want to keep the same goals from last year and just continue them? And really ultimately what I'm doing is kind of picking the areas I want to just be intentional. I want to live an intentional life, right? And so this in the journal, so I've got like different areas. So I have some different, call them businesses. But for example, so I've got like the stuff where I do all like my active income stuff, right? And then I've got my rental portfolio. I have partnership portfolios, right? Portfolios I own with other partners in various things. And then I even have stuff like personal, right? So I've got relationships, physical and health, right? Education, finances. And the relationship part is, kind of all encompassing of relationships. But so as I really start to set my intention for 2025, um, there is a level that my brain starts thinking about, hey, where do I want the year to go? If I start thinking at the end of 2025, what would make 2025 feel like a successful year, by the end of the year? Like what would need to happen? So I'm an ambitious person. Like there's things that I want to achieve in life. And so one of the biggest issues is that, for example, we will um we will set a goal and we will set basically a metric. Like I want, so for example, I one of the metrics that I track is my collective followers across social media. The multiple different, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, different things like that. Okay. And really, because it's a metric that I am being intentional about, right? I'm investing money into growing it for a lot of reasons. So with that being said, because I want to grow it, I don't want to have a million, I don't necessarily want to have a million followers. Um, but at the same time, I'm trying to track it and I do want to grow it, right? So right now I have around like 21, 22,000 followers across all the platforms. Well, my goal in so one of my goals, so I'm looking at it now, is 35,000 collective followers. So like to grow by 13,000 followers. And so that sounds great, right? Like it's a metric. I can tell if I reached that or not. But although I place that there, I say, hey, how am I going to get those followers? Like it's really good to be ambitious, but if you do not have the actions to match to get those results, basically, if you don't have the output, like if you don't put out the effort that would result in that, then I mean that's just a lofty goal. People always are full of lofty goals. People don't often put in the work. So understand this. When I say the craziest thing I'm doing in 2025, it has to do with the action that I'm doing because I have some big goals. So to continue along the line, so social media is something that I invest into. Obviously you guys will listen to this. So between my podcast, the YouTube channel, my social media channels, they are something I invest money and time into for a number of reasons. But for example, last night I jumped on a phone call on a Zoom with some folks who had been following me for years, and they are now wanting to invest some money. They wanted to diversify their investments. They wanted, they have some rentals, but they also wanted to start doing some lending. And so we were having a conversation about, what that looks like. And so there's stuff like that. I am under contract to buy a property subject to the mortgage that came from someone who, in my sphere of influence, someone who I used to work out with years ago. We're still friends on Facebook. Reached out, hey, do you still buy houses as is? Yes, ma'am. How you doing? Hope you've been well. I haven't talked to you in probably 5 years. And now I'm under contract to buy that property. So, this is, in essence, this is a huge part of my lead flow for properties, for private money, for partnerships, allies, various things like that, right? So it is important for me to track this, and I want to make sure that I'm continuing to effectively do it, right? So again, if the goal is 35,000 collective followers, then what action do I need to do? So to speak of that action, again, I've been thinking about this, and it's okay for me to set that lofty goal, but if I'm ever going to do that, I then have to tie it with an action. That is one of the most critical things I have to do. Again, you can't say I just want to own 10 houses, or this year I want to buy 10 houses. So funny enough, in one of my other goals, so for my long-term rentals, is I want to buy 10 what I call legacy properties. And then I want to buy 5 other properties. These are what I call my supportive role properties. I have a few other things I want to do in regards to my rentals, but so in essence, I want to buy 15 properties. So they kind of are, they kind of vary with what they are. But one of the things that I then did is I said, hey, what am I going to need to do to be able to reach that lofty goal? So, in regards to that, what does that look like? I want to make 15 offers a month. 15 offers a month generally will equal um, enough activity in my business for me to buy 2 to 4 properties a year, right? Now, I just said I want to buy 10, I want to buy 5, I want to buy 15. And generally, the other stuff is wholesale deals. Maybe I partner with someone on something. So that's kind of where that other extra kind of falls into the equation. But I know that if I want to buy deals, I absolutely have to be making offers. There is no deal buying without offer making. So one of the big things that I am doing, one of the action based metric I am looking at is 15 offers a month. For me, that means, it can be anywhere from 2 to 4 offers a week. And now I know that that's something that I can consistently do. And so I really want to encourage you, stay away from just making lofty goals. Again, vision board, like for example, I have one here. Um, you know, for example, what was one of these? I wanted to be on a specific podcast. It's been on my vision board to be on a specific podcast. Great to have the goal, but then I need to tie an action to it, right? Again, people dream all day long, but there's got to be a point the rubber meets the road. So, if I have that action, if I have that lofty goal, what is the action I'm going to tie to that, right? Well, I then need to, for example, before I get on that podcast, one of the things I'm wanting to do is to improve my audio quality and my video quality. And eventually I want to improve, my background of these podcasts, right? I've been taking imperfect action. Look, I appreciate all of you who are tuning in, listening in, but I sure as heck know that there have been episodes that my audio has been off. There has been episodes where there was a glitch in, one of the commercials but look, in one time I told my producer, who's, some of this is DIY and I'm just giving him the stuff to edit. And some of the stuff that I basically did the recording myself, and then sent it to him, and I just shook my head and I said, I'm like, man, I'm sorry. I'm like, I picked 2 cameras, one of the cameras died in the middle, and I'm like, but let's still edit it. And I've got a few videos like that, right? It's imperfect action, but what am I doing? I'm taking action, and taking action has always progressed me to my goals, as long as it is the right action in the right direction. And so when you're thinking about 2025, I really want to encourage you to not just set a metric of a goal. All right, let's kind of talk about this. People say, hey, I want to invest in real estate. Not going to do it. Too vague, too pie in the sky. You can't tell if you arrive, right? Like, yeah, if you buy real estate, but then you're not defining anything. But then maybe say, I want to buy my first deal, right? I want to buy my first deal in 2025. By the way, if that is you, if you're looking at buying your first deal, or if you're trying to build a plan around buying your next deal, you should highly consider coming to my Fix Your Income workshop that is in January 20th and 21st. That's in the suburbs of New Orleans and Covington, Louisiana. If you go to Courtney Fricke, there was already the commercial. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. You should highly come, because that's literally what we're doing, is breaking down the blueprint during that 2-day workshop. Is I'm going to break down the blueprint of how to do that. Very action oriented, very hey, if this is your goal, these are the ways you have to back into it. Obviously education based on, how do you actually find deals and all that. So, but you've got to say, okay, I don't want to just invest in real estate, but I want to buy my first rental. So then you've got to say, what's going to get me? Again, you've got to tie an action to it. How many offers or how many properties should you look at per month, right? You should at least be looking at least one property a month, and making at least one offer a month. And so if you're like, hey, I don't want to make an offer on every property I walk, then you need to walk more than one property a month. And so there is a level that too many folks, all they do is make vague goals. I want to lose weight. I want to invest in real estate. I want to improve my relationships with my family. I want to I want to read books. That's my New Year resolution. So then why do so many people fizzle off? Because then they're not clear on their goals, right? And so they can't get the euphoria of progress, right? I don't know the actual science, but whatever that word is, of the thing that you get when you're like having progress, seeing signs of progress, like that's powerful. And then on top of that, um, people then, again, they say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, but then they don't build in that action tied to it. And so they never know if they're doing enough to basically reach that goal. So I want to encourage you, be someone who is specific in their goals, but then they tie an action item to it. Okay. So great way to make goals that a lot of times people tell me, Courtney, how do you get this all done? How, first of all, um, I will have to say there's a level of obsession required. People can't ever say I didn't put effort in and worked, right? But then I've also just been very ambitious. I've just put in a lot of reps in the same direction. And that is what I'm trying to encourage you. So without further ado, let's get to the craziest thing that I thought of recently that I am doing in 2025. So I've already told you one of my goals is to grow my follower count. I believe that the message I have, how you do real estate matters, that this is a message that needs to continue to get out into the real estate industry. This is message that, my mentors, I stand on the shoulders of giants that I want, they don't necessarily have a YouTube channel. I say necessarily, almost none of them have a YouTube channel, barely have social media. So at the end of the day, I want to stand on their shoulders and I want to echo what they taught me, and I want to continue on the message, right? And we live in an age where social media matters. So there is a level that I want to influence more people. So one of those goals is to, grow to 35,000 collective followers. And this is a great opportunity here. If you listen to me on YouTube or if you listen to me on Spotify, come check me out on Instagram. There's stuff that I do on there, stuff that I do on Facebook that I don't do on other platforms, and vice versa. So the other thing I wanted to do was, so this YouTube channel, I want to break 1,000 subscribers, right? There is a level that I'm looking at these. I'm trying to read my goals at the same time. So there's 2 action items that I am focusing on to help create, well, no, there's 3 action items that I'm tying to those 2 audacious goals. So the 1,000, I think I'm at like 650 subscribers. So I want to beat 1,000. At some point in 2025, I want to surpass 1,000 subscribers. And again, the 35,000 collective followers. How am I going to do that? 3 action items. Number 1, I post on Instagram every single day. That's really one of the, social media channels that I am focusing on. And so whether it is a small clip from one of these, podcasts, whether it is, something different that I'm creating this content, I'm pinning it out. So consistency there every single day. By the way, after I finish this video, what am I going to do? I'm going to go post for the day. And so that's 1 post a day on my socials. So I'm keeping that consistent. Every Wednesday, I drop a new podcast. So most of those podcasts, they're conversation with other people. It might be a monologue like this one. Whatever it looks like, I am dropping a new podcast every Wednesday. By the way, if you think about, let me hold that thought. I'm gonna say the 3rd one and then go from there. But here's the crazier thing that I'm doing. So posting every day, not necessarily crazy, but for sure takes consistency. Dropping a podcast a week, again, takes consistency. But the crazy idea that I had the other day, and when I told my loved one, they were like, "Oh my gosh, you constantly are like," they were like, "You're doing the most." I heard someone, actually my friend Anitra Preston, was sharing in a interview about how they were seeing some success on their YouTube channel, right? Success leaves clues. So they were talking about their success where they posted for 70 days straight and they were seeing success. And I said, I know what to do here. Why did I think of this sooner? So my goal is that for 100 days, the first 100 days of 2025, every single day I'm going to post a video on my YouTube channel. This will be something that is, my goal is to really keep it around a 10 to 25-minute video versus these podcasts have been tending to be longer, 40 minutes to 60 plus minutes. So the goal is to keep these more micro. And for the first 100 days, boom, I am like going one. And I kind of, whenever I thought of that, I was like, yes, if I can go put in the consistent effort, and if I really want to grow, then what do I need? I need reps. I need to go put in the reps. And again, I'm someone whose ambition could be called, again, maybe obsession, maybe it could be called just I'm very ambitious, whatever that looks like. So what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna do a lot of reps. And that has always been something that um, I have done. So where, whatever that has looked like, I'm not afraid to go put in the work. If it requires work, people aren't going to outwork me. I'm not afraid of the work. So 100 videos every single day. I already know from doing the piece of content every day, the Instagram thing, that some days the day gets long, and here I am at 11:30 at night, um, and I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, I still haven't figured out what I'm going to post about today. There is a level that if, for example, dropping a podcast every Wednesday, I need to get it to my editor so that he can add the intro and any commercials I have, or any editing that needs to be done. There's things I have to get a thumbnail made. There's things that have to be done in order for it to be ready to go on Wednesday. And then if I'm going to do 100 videos, one per day for 100 days, I got to have a plan. Like, what am I going to talk about? And especially for it to be effective, right? So one of the biggest things that I'm having to do is, it's not just here, have this ambitious goal that's clearly defined and then tie some actions to it, but I actually have to critically think through those actions. So, for example, one of the big things that I'm doing, look, you may say, well, Courtney, that must be nice to be able to have the time to do it. Boohoo, I don't have the time either. Like, there have been plenty of nights where it's late. It is currently late and I am getting this done. Why? Because I'm trying to keep the promises I'm making to myself, right? That I understand I got to get those reps in, and sometimes those reps come in after a long day. Look, I had some plumbing issues today at a property, so I was spending a lot more time at a property today than I intended to. And so it set my whole, I was supposed to be somewhere a few hours ago. And so I texted him, I said, hey, I'm going to be rolling in late. And at the end of the day, things like that come up, right? I'm actively in the business. I could give you 20 excuses. But the reality here is, I'm not going to let those excuses stop me. I'm going to, if it matters to me, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to make a way. And so understand that that correlation exists. So don't give me the BS of, well, but I can't because whatever. And I'm not saying you have to do what I'm doing, right? But I want to encourage you. Consistency. It does not have to be an everyday thing, because you're like, Courtney, every day, I can't do every day. I get that, right? But the reality is the metric that I'm aiming for is every single day I am going to post a video. So for example, to take it a little bit further, these 100 videos, they're going to be on YouTube. I do plan on eventually also putting them on Spotify so that you guys who listen on there can listen. Those who listen through, I say Spotify, but the podcast platforms, um, so that you guys can listen to these. And I wanted them to be shorter form because we all know that not everyone has the attention span for a whole hour podcast. And what did I do? I said, man, I know that doing a 10 to 25-minute talk is going to get, you know, I'm going to, yeah, I could talk. You guys know brevity is not my thing. But the reality is, how can I do this for that many days consistently? How can I do it and win? So what did I immediately do? I pulled out a Google sheet, basically a spreadsheet, and I basically pulled every date all the way. By the way, 100 days goes into April. And so I said, all right, I literally put the day, and then I just started saying, okay, on this day, this is a topic I can talk about. And at least basically gave me ideas to then go from. And so that is something that is, I'm trying to set myself up to win. Same thing with content, same with other things, right? So let's take this to real estate. You said, Courtney, I don't care about content. Fine, I'm just giving you an example here. You're like, Courtney, how does this work? Well, go back to the 15 offers a month. That's 2 to 4 offers a week. The main way that I get business is through referrals and repeat business. And I do 60+% of my deals are with real estate agents, either deals that are on the MLS or pocket listings. So for example, let's just say it's January 20th, so getting toward the end of the month, and I've only made, 2 offers. Well, what am I going to do? Or maybe I made, let's just say I haven't made any offers. Well, I'm going to start posting, hey guys, I am looking for a hoarder house. Does anyone have one I need to look at? Hey, I'm going to start going through my phone, and every agent, I'm going to pick them up and call them, hey, how's business going? Hey, how are you doing? Do you have any properties that you feel I need to look at and make an offer on right now? I am going to go drum up business, right? I am going to go jump on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to go jump on, Zillow for sale by owner, for rent by owner, and I'm going to go start making offers. There is a level that I also have to keep myself accountable. And so if your goal is, to own, to buy, whatever it is related, again, start thinking, how can you break that up? What is the actions required going to take to then reach that? Hey guys, Courtney Fricke here. We've got Aussie Steve. And look, if you have a deal that needs to get moved, Southeast Louisiana, even in South Mississippi, we're your folks. We are the largest dispo company, really in the greater New Orleans area, even Southeast Louisiana. We have great contacts in South Mississippi as well. Steve, why do we move more deals than others?
Just we're very deep in this market, so Greater New Orleans can be really confusing for national wholesalers. The comps are hard. We change block for block. We got flood zones. We get a lot of hurricanes and the likes, and just a lot of the national platforms don't have the buyers on their list. So we are deep with buyers, but we're deep with relationships, which is really important in this market. So we love JVing with out-of-state investors.
Like I said, we do a ton of business with other investors. So go to homebuyerlouisiana.com/Courtney, fill out the information, we'll get in touch with you and we'll move this deal along. So, going back to the 100 videos, by the way, I posted and I said, hey guys, I'm looking to do this. What are some ideas? And you guys gave me some great ideas, right? So don't be afraid to ask for help and assistance with your goals. And so that was a way that I was able to invite people in. Pete Fortunato, my main mentor, has always taught me that our 2 biggest jobs is to help other people and to ask for help. So don't be afraid to ask for help, right? I love it when I see real estate folks who are like, hey, my goal is to buy X amount of properties by the end of the month. And I've only bought, let's just say the goal is to buy 3 properties a month, and I've only bought, 1 this month. Hey, does anyone know of someone who has a property that's a fixer-upper that I need, that they're looking to sell, that I can make an offer on, right? I love when I see that, right? Don't be afraid to ask for help with your goals, especially when you're keeping yourself accountable and you see that you're not meeting your metric, right? You're not, you're getting close to where you haven't taken enough action. There's a book. I don't know why I always feel the need to put a like an asterisk when I talk about this book, because I have a love-hate relationship with the author, but it's called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. So this book, which I'm going to go ahead and pause here. I'm going to go grab it just so I can show you guys it. All right. So for those of you who are watching, you can actually see, but it's called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. By the way, if you're only listening to these, look, I respect that, but you're going to miss some opportunities to see certain things. So, the 10X Rule, if you haven't heard about this book, the subtitle is The Only Difference Between Success and Failure. So, and I look in, so when I read, so I'm very active when I read books. So I wrote in there, first of all, someone gifted this book to me. But then I finished reading this book November 12th, 2018. Grant, I've met Grant like twice. Grant's from Louisiana, good old Louisiana boy, over in Lake Charles. A lot of you guys know him. He's real flashy on the internet. He is in the real estate industry. And Grant and I do not see eye to eye on certain things. Not my style of person. And How he does business is not my style. But I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. This book teaches a brilliant concept, which is, for example, let's just say your goal. So one of my other goals is to do 7,500 steps a day. So I've got one of those fancy dancy watches that tracks my steps. You can see here, maybe not, that I currently have 7,369 steps. And I still have some time left in the day, so I'm going to meet this goal easily today. It's been a long day. I've been running around. I've been doing a lot. And so this wasn't me having to put in extra effort. It was just one of those days where the day was long, the activities were a lot. But okay, that's the goal. But if you're basically not meeting your goal, the most average human, what they do is they basically say, oh, I didn't get 7,500 steps in today. Oops, didn't mark, you have to mark that off as didn't, complete that task. You keep going, keep going. You're like, oh, I get 3,000 steps, I get 4,000 steps, but I'm not getting the 7,500. What the most average person, and dare I say the average American, does is they then say, well, maybe I should lower it to 5,000. I'm more likely to reach my goal if I lower it. Let me take that ambition and pull it down. What I appreciate about the 10x rule was that he goes, don't you dare bring that goal down, but what do you need to do? You need to up your action. So what do you need to do? You need to find ways to go get those extra steps. So for example, one of the things that I've done, and I do credit it to, Cardone, his book here and the philosophy here, is it helps me understand that, like, in order to meet my goals, I have to address the action that I'm taking, right, in that direction. And so, for example, I'm very thankful for the folks who so I take a lot of meetings, right? So whether it's with, a real estate agent that I'm looking to do business with, whether it's with a business partner, whether it's with, a friend, family member, whether it's with a private money lender, whatever that looks like, a number of folks, what I started doing was saying, hey, a lot of people want to go meet for coffee, go meet for lunch. They want to go, maybe even just meet and sit and talk, right? Wherever. I have started asking, hey, would you oppose? Sometimes I say, hey, I have a goal of hitting X amount of steps per day. Would you oppose us doing a walk and talk? So many folks have said, yeah, I love that, right? I had a private money lender that came over here, and next thing you know, we walked, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 miles or whatever. And that was one of the days that I got like 15,000 steps in. Because we just had a lot to talk about. And we had a great conversation. Shout out to her. But the reality is that ultimately, number one, don't lower your actions, right? You have to correlate the actions you take with your goal. So don't be afraid of setting a lofty goal. And I think Grant would agree with that. He would even say you dream too small, right? But set a high goal, but you have to tie a very clear metric with that goal. Again, if you want to buy real estate, do you want to buy one house? Do you want to buy 10 houses? And maybe get clear on what type of houses, right? Um, single family rentals that, for me, it's my legacy properties, right? And so I know that the legacy property for me has a definition, 1990 or newer, that they are, valued between 250 and 400,000. They have a minimum of 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Like, I know what a legacy property is, right? So again, bring a little definition to it. And then on top of that, you've got to tie, once you have a clear defined goal, you have to tie an action to it. So the big crazy thing I'm doing in 2025 is I'm doing 100 videos in 100 days. So whether you tune in through, a podcast platform like Spotify or Apple Podcast or whatever it is, I don't even know what it is for you Android folks. Anyway, or maybe it's on YouTube. Join in. I think I'm going to have some fun topics for you guys. The majority of them are going to be these monologues. And so I am going to invite your feedback, right? I want to hear what you have to say. I want to invite for you to interact with me, right? And that'll help as I chip away at these thoughts and conversations. So, look, I am cheering each of you on in 2025. There is a reality that 2025 will either be a year that happens to people or be a year that happens for them. So either it happens to them or it happens for them. I I am doing everything in my power for 2025 to be a year that happens for me. That it's a great year for me and my family and all that we are looking to accomplish and attain. And I'm hoping the same for you. So as the sun sets here on 2024, if you haven't already, a few episodes back, I did a review of my 24 and I talked about some of the things I'm focusing on 25. A little bit different than today's conversation, but I think you might enjoy going back and looking at it. But I would encourage you, if you haven't already, review your 2024. The episode before that one I did where it was a breakdown of my 23 and I shared about basically what I was focusing on 24. The whole reason for me doing that was to show you, you know, basically it was my goals for 24. It was my focus for 24. And part of my review of 24 was, what did I focus on? What did I say? What did I set my intentions to focus on? And hey, did I reach it? Spoiler alert, I didn't. Go back and listen to that. And so, with that being said, cheering you guys on, my goal is to just strategic success. I named it this for a reason. You're not going to end up places on accident. So, as you set your intentions for 2025, if you haven't already, review your 24, review your goals, review what actually happened in 24. I would encourage, I mean, this is my first year. I actually created a journal out of it. So I pulled my some old, old notes from 2023 into 24. And so I started documenting. I want to actually have a journal around my goals. Um, and so I want to encourage you to do the same. I want to encourage you to be intentional and I want to encourage you to continue wherever you are, learning, wherever you are growing. You really grow into the conversations you're around. So I want to encourage you continue to join in on these conversations with us here on the Strategic Success Podcast and know that I'm cheering you on. 2025 is going to be a great year. It's either going to happen to you or for you. And my hope and my prayer is that it happens for you, for your truly your, the goodness, the blessing, and the enrichment of your life and those around you. Cheering you guys on. As always, I appreciate you for tuning in. See you guys. Actually, going to be seeing you a lot more. So make sure you tune in. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. And if you also can take a time and review the podcast, because actually all those things help me get in front of more folks. So this is me asking you to help me with my goal. Appreciate you guys. See you soon.